went to Telluride with Argo, which is was that the very first time you screened that in public, or have
Yep,
you done?
that was
did
the
you do
first time
any
anybody
previews?
saw. We did one old-fashioned preview in Pasadena. But that was also the director's cut. I mean, that was nothing. So there was a lot of things that were different. And after that, we finished the movie, and yeah, the first time we screened it was for in Telluride.
So
Although
you,
there were some journalists, I think, who got to see it.
I wasn't one of them, so I saw it there. But were you nervous?
Yeah, I think you're always nervous. I don't know. I was nervous then. I've been nervous every time I've shown a movie that I directed, particularly for the first time. There's a kind of, you're a little more nervous at the first preview because it's never been in front of an audience, so people could throw vegetables. You don't know how they're going to react.
So you must have gotten a sense at that one that it played.
It played, yeah. It played, or we would have done the town. We did 6 previews or something like that. I just kept on grinding on it because it wasn't playing, and things weren't working the way we wanted them to, and so you keep working on it and fixing it. And but with this one, we didn't have that experience. It was kind of like, I made me nervous. I thought, well, maybe we should preview more and keep cutting, but we went ahead and screened it at Telluride, and I was, look,
Why
it's a
did you
different.
pick Telluride? Why did you decide to go there?
You know why? Because I thought it was a really, it was about a festival that was about the movies. I'd never been. I'd always wanted to go. Gone Baby Gone didn't get in. Like, broke my heart. I want to be part of it, and Jennifer had an incredible time the year before. The kids had loved the gondola. There was no paparazzi really, and it sounded like a festival that was about the films, and that you got to see the films, and you ran into and actually talked to people. So I had it really hyped up in my mind.
But it also confers, as you say, a little bit of credibility. It's even better than Toronto.
It's definitely like, as I discovered going there, it's definitely a place that people go see films. Like it gets out more. It wasn't quite as secretive as I thought it was,
because it's real folks from all over the country,
right?
And some media
exactly.
Like me.
And it was fun. It was
worked.
really exciting.
It worked, but it's interesting because there's this whole. What are we all doing here, right? I mean, we're here beside the pool doing interviews with the folks who cover the Oscars. A lot of us.
Is that what these folks?
That's what we are. And it's like these movies come and people see
you
them.
guys cover
they go
movies.
up, they go down.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that's true. Thank you for saying that. It's true. All right, let's talk about the movie. So it is. There are various articles that it was based on. When did you first get wind of the material itself?
I got first. The history of it was declassified in '97. It was put on a shelf somewhere. A guy named Josh Bierman, who writes for Wired magazine, found it, did a bunch of research, put an article together, sold that article to Smokehouse. Smokehouse hired the brilliant Chris Terrio, who then wrote a draft. They sent that draft to me. I said, "Gosh, I want to do this." We got the wheels in motion. I sat down with Terrio and we got going on.
But you had to convince George to give it up.
I didn't really have to convince. They sent it to me.
So they had already given it up.
So they were. Yeah, I wouldn't say they gave it up. They're a production company. They produce
trying
movies.
to get it made.
I don't think that they had a plan. You'd have to ask them. Where we have a rule that we have to act in everything or direct everything we develop. So they developed this thing. George was about to start Ides of March. After that, he did Gravity when they called me. So he had a lot on his plate. He sent me the script, and I felt lucky that he had a lot on his plate because it meant that I got to get involved with this movie.
Well, when I spoke to you last year, you were in the process of trying to figure out what to do, what to make. You had a lot of really great stuff. You had done such a good job with the town. You had a lot of offers, and you had to go through that. On what basis did you make those decisions? Yes or no? I don't want to do Superman. I do want to do.
I didn't. I wanted to do a movie that was. I just wanted to do a good movie. I mean, I know that's kind of like, I don't know art, but I know what I like kind of a thing. I tried. I didn't have an overall strategy that said, like, if I get this kind of movie, I can make this, this type of budget, and I can expect this kind of return, or my career would be better suited with the character drama now. I just thought, let me look through this material and see what strikes me. And I was looking for something that would strike me enough that I would kind of want to rewrite it, like I did with the previous 2 movies. And what I got, all of a sudden, was this movie that was like on page 40. I thought, there's no question. I absolutely have to make this. I'm doing this movie. Sign me up. And, I've probably learned, I may have even matured a little bit as I've just hit 40. I hope I've matured. I've learned that it's about the movie, and it's a mistake to try to think too much about the other stuff. Because if you make a movie that works, um, that's the most important thing.
If you had had a more 100% successful career as an actor, I mean, on a level that you were really happy with, would you have become a director?
I always wanted to be a director. I did short films, I did student films, and I kind of used my acting career as a free film school. You have a job there, so they have to talk to you, they have to let you stand next to the monitor, kind of a thing. But I probably wouldn't have become a director when I became a director, or done it with the same drive, I guess, and kind of urgent desire to tell the stories that I want to tell, and to make something that was interesting in the way that I wanted to do it.
Because your acting in your own movies is better in some ways than some of the other acting
Oh
you've
yeah,
done.
I mean,
Which
I think
it speaks to a lot of things. It speaks to your own skill as a director as well as the material.
I think as an actor, you're very dependent on the material. You're dependent on the director, which for me is kind of like a push. But at least, what I do is I shoot a lot of material, and then I kind of make the movie in post anyway. That's where I really make most of my important decisions. And so I'm looking at a lot of material on my performance, and I'm able to, if I have enough, I'm able to calibrate it in a careful way. I mean, maybe it's the result of narcissism. I pay closer attention to myself than some other director would.
But you seem comfortable with it. It doesn't seem to throw you.
I really like it. I mean, it's harder because it takes away from the bandwidth, that you need as a director to sort of think about the movie that you're making, to then turn around and kind of invest the sort of focus that you need on your performance. But by the same token, it's not, to me, I don't view them all as necessarily divided. It's all part of making the movie. When I want to play this part in this movie, it's because I love the movie, because I knew how I wanted it to be, I knew how I wanted it to sound, I knew how I wanted it to look, I knew how the acting should be. And so, part of you gets to jump in and kind of direct the movie from the inside when you're acting.
That's cool. So the character you're playing is very tamped down, very hidden, very secret. He's in control in a very interesting way under an unbelievable duress, and you're also turning the screws, and he's part of how you express that.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things about that. One is that the actual Tony Mendez, who I sat down with and did research with, and who I thought, okay, now I'll see, I'll sort of start developing my character based on Tony, really surprised me. He still had that sort of spy thing. He was very taciturn, he was withdrawn, he was opaque, he was inscrutable. He seemed like sort of one of those little hologram cards that you hold up and looks different from every angle. And I thought, God, wouldn't it be interesting to subvert the traditional conventions of a protagonist? And rather than having a guy who's beating his chest and has got his sword and is so brave and is going to kill everybody, you have a guy who doesn't want to be seen, who wants to be in the background, but he has to get these people to do something that they're terrified of doing.
And you still have to be enough of a movie star to keep us interested.
Right, you have to hold back. And that was one of the really great lessons that I learned about acting from directing, is that the what I would say to actors, if I was talking to actors, which mostly I've had such great actors that I really barely spoke to them, but if I am going to talk to them, I would say, we see it, you know what I mean, just don't worry about it, just do nothing. We can tell already. You don't need to, a great salesman acts like you're in luck to get the chance to buy their car, you know what I mean?